Thank you for joining us today. We're going to have a conversation about title insurance. Not something you probably often think about or probably have ever really thought about in your life, but it's something that's incredibly important when you're talking about protecting your home, one of your most, if not your most valuable asset. I'm happy to be joined today by my personal friend, Amy Buehler, but also a trusted partner in the work that I do in your work through Land Title Professionals. So why don't you take a moment and share with everybody a little bit about yourself, your background, and your company.
Okay, I'm Amy Buehler with Land Title Professionals. Thank you for having us here today. We have a title company in Lake Nona and in St. Cloud. We started the business about 3 years ago, a little over 3 years, but I've been in the real estate business, the title insurance business, for almost 20 years. I started when I was 20, just a baby, don't tell anybody. But yeah, we can serve the whole state of Florida, and we're happy to do so.
Yeah, and so I've worked with Amy and her team for a long time, and you've been in it 20 years. Yeah, I know that's surprising. You don't even look like you're 20, let alone to be in it for 20 years. But when she says their company was started just over 3 years ago, what you want to know is that they bring like decades and decades and decades of years of experience to the work they do. They just relaunched a new brand 3 years ago, but they've been providing the same level of service and expertise in the Central Florida area for decades and decades now. So as I said, we're going to talk about title insurance, which is part of what Amy's company does. There's actually a couple pieces and parts we'll go through today. But when we think about title insurance, why don't we take some time to maybe unpack what that is? Because most people probably don't know what title insurance is, nor do they maybe understand the importance of it. So how would you describe title insurance to our viewers today?
Title insurance protects the past to ensure your future. So we take a deep dive on the history of the property. So we look at prior owners, prior liens to ensure everything has been paid off and the proper people have signed.
Okay. So part of this process is you guys are going back in years and years past. You're looking to make sure that if there was any issue that ever came up with that property and the chain of title that's been passed along, that it's been properly processed and transitioned through the various series of owners over time. Now, that's really important to you as a property owner. And we've dealt with challenges where you and I have gotten a transaction, somebody else insured it, they didn't do the process correctly, and then all of a sudden we're sitting there having to clean up a title defect in order to make sure the transaction goes smoothly. So looking at that past is really important, and that's what your research team does, is to make sure that all of those loops are closed, to make sure that when you get the title and deed to your property, it is a clean and marketable title that's ready to go, and you know that you're actually getting what you paid for. Now you talk about insuring the future. What does that mean?
So we button up the past. We make sure all the liens were paid, any prior owner, any estate, everything was done properly. And if we missed anything in that policy, we missed a lien that wasn't paid from 10 years ago, that title policy is covered by us. Basically, we would pay any defect, any lien, because we're insuring your future.
Yeah, and so we're familiar with like car insurance and home insurance and life insurance and all these things that are protecting us in case something comes up that's unexpected. It's the same thing here. It's just protecting the title in case something comes up unexpected in that regard. And you would be surprised the number of things that could come up, and making sure you have a title insurance policy. Truthfully, it's a no-brainer. You need to have it anyway. But it's a no-brainer because there are things that could happen that would catch you by surprise. And now you're sitting on this major asset with a title defect, and now you're having to bring in lawyers to try to help clean that up. So having that title policy is a very inexpensive way of insuring, again, the most valuable asset you probably own. You guys do so much more work than that, though. You guys are not only providing the title insurance, but you're also helping facilitate the real estate transaction. So you guys partner with us. We get a property in a contract. We send a contract over to you. That's your starting point. And then there's a plethora of things that you guys are doing in partnership with us to get the property to close on time. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Right. So once we get the signed contract, that's our trigger to start title work. So searches right now run about 4 to 5 days. Ultimately, the search comes back and we deep dive into getting the seller's payoff information. We coordinate with the buyer's lender. We order the survey, homeowners association, municipal lien search we order. Those are fairly new to the contracts. The last time FARBAR did a new contract, they added that language in there. So that looks at stuff that is not recorded in public records. So that would be expired permits, open utility bills, code enforcement liens that aren't recorded in public records. So those are important things that we now look at. Since that is a fairly new thing, sometimes things come up from 20 years ago. You might not have owned the property, but it's your job to fix this now because it's on your property. So those are some issues that come up, but we guide you. We do everything we can to help you fix any issue that there is on title. And that's how, once we get to closing, we ensure we give you the title policy, and that's what your insurance is for.
Yeah. So the municipal lien search is an interesting one. We had a circumstance sometime about a year and a half ago, if my memory is correct, and it was a home that was built, new construction, and the builder, the developer, actually had mowing liens that were on the property. And in order for us to close the property, because of the municipal lien search, those came up and they had to be cleared off. And they were like $20,000 of mowing liens that were sitting on this property for like 18, 16 years, whatever it was at this point in time. The owner was saying, it wasn't my issue, I didn't do anything with it, so we had to work together to make sure we got that cleaned up, get that lien off of the property, which again, it wasn't recorded in public record, so it wouldn't show up. So if they're not doing that due diligence, you as a new owner could get caught with that. It's a really key part of it. The other thing is, you guys are really coordinating with us with so many people, as you said, lenders, appraisers, surveyors, mortgage companies, the current mortgage company, the new mortgage company, the buyer, the seller, multiple realtors, and you're doing all that to get us to that point in time to where we can get to the closing table. The other thing that they're doing that's really important for you is they're taking all the information and they're aggregating it into the settlement statement, which is really the guiding document of all the financial figures and numbers that are going into the end of the real estate transaction. So for us, working with someone like you guys, because you really are experts, I mean, in all honesty, and I don't just say it because you're here, you guys really are the best of the best. You provide a high level of expertise and a high level of customer service. And I think that comes back to your company motto of like one closing at a time, right?
Yep.
Where you guys really work to make sure not only you're delivering the expertise in the transaction, but the direct customer service that's important to that customer at that time. Maybe touch on your one closing at a time.
So one closing at a time we came up with to make everyone in the transaction, realtors, buyers, sellers, feel like this is the only transaction that we're currently working on. So we are very... we answer the phone. I answer the phone at all times of the night, as you know, answer emails all the time. So we just try to focus on answering everyone in a timely manner and giving the respect of everybody.
Yeah, and we'll start to close on this. There are a lot of title companies out there, no question about it, but there really is a difference in having the expertise of knowing how to clean up the issues that come up in a transaction that you may not be anticipating. Having the knowledge to work through those both professionally and efficiently, but then also being able to layer in the customer service that's provided. And it's almost like a bedside manner in some ways. When we get to a closing table, there's a lot of emotion that's going on. A seller may be sad about selling, a buyer may be hyper excited about buying. And part of Amy's job is she's sitting at the closing table with me is to make sure that everyone's emotions, everyone's needs are taken care of so that we can truly have an enjoyable final experience with the real estate transaction. So obviously, I appreciate you, I appreciate your friendship, and I certainly appreciate what you and the entire team at Land Title Professional does for me and for the customers that we work with. As I said at the beginning, there are so many pieces and parts that we can talk about when we talk about title insurance. Today was really just to maybe give you an introduction to this part of the real estate transaction that is incredibly important that you probably don't think about. I always tell people there are more than 200 things that I do in the midst of just one single real estate transaction, and working with and coordinating with professionals like this is one of those many things. So as always, stay tuned. Thanks for following what we're doing. Of course, if you have any questions about your real estate, buying real estate, owning real estate, or selling it, reach out anytime. If you need someone to talk to about your current title insurance policy, any defect or any issue that may have come up, reach out to Amy and the team at Land Title Professionals. They're always going to be happy to help you. And then, of course, just stay tuned, stay well, and we look forward to sharing more information with you in the future. Thank you.